If you press that button, you are in very, very big trouble.
All the other kids with the bumped up kisses better run, now run my gun. All the other kids with the bumped up kisses better run, faster than my boat.
Michael, this new evidence relates to Bryer Schmegelsky. He's one of two teenagers wanted in connection with these Canadian highway murders. Now, what's been uncovered is a series of photographs which show a disturbing insight into his character and personality. We've seen him dressed in military fatigues, holding a firearm. He also, we believe, is in possession of Nazi paraphernalia, including a swastika and a Hitler Youth dagger. Now, he is on the run, we believe, with his childhood friend Cam McLeod. The Canadian Mounted Police have been fairly honest about the fact that they really don't know where these two are. They certainly don't know what vehicle they're travelling in. They've already found two cars torched along the way in this search. Of course, they are wanted over the murder of Canadian man Lucas Fowler, his girlfriend China Deese. Those murders happened 10 days ago, and now a third has been uncovered and believed to be linked. That is the murder of a middle-aged Canadian man by the name of Leonard Dyke.
Bryer Schmegelsky had a troubled upbringing. These photos sent by an online gamer to Canadian media show the 18-year-old wearing camouflage and holding a gun. On his Facebook account, a post about guns. Alan Schmegelsky believes his son will die in a confrontation with police.
All I can say is my son did not have any real guns.
Schmegelsky's father said he'd asked for an airsoft gun, which shoots plastic bullets. He bought it for him and says his son and his friends would battle each other in the woods. A clearer and darker picture is emerging of a murder suspect at the center of a cross-country manhunt. These photos of Bryer Schmegelsky sent to CBC by a fellow online gamer show the teen dressed in camo with a Nazi symbol on display. He's a much different image than the boy people here knew in person.
Then finally, we were provided images from a friend he played with online, an online game called Rust, images of him in military-type fatigues with an airsoft rifle, which of course fires non-lethal bullets.
Tonight, police tell us they are investigating whether these images play a role in the case. Bryer reportedly sent them to a fellow video gamer, as reported by Canada's Globe and Mail. The 18-year-old holding what appears to be an airsoft rifle. In another photo, he's wearing a gas mask. In this picture, a Nazi flag and a knife.
Schmegelsky's social media shows a fascination with Russia. He apparently began learning the language in 2015. One gamer told us he adopted a heavy Russian accent when they chatted. And he belongs to some pro-Putin and pro-Trump groups.
Going back several years, 2015, 2016, even up until earlier this year, Schmegelsky was using iconography of the USSR and of Hitler's Germany. Now, it's obviously very hard to say anything conclusive about what that may have played into any sort of motivation about what he's alleged to have done, but certainly it sort of paints a picture of somebody who was interested in some sort of outside the mainstream politics. And we believe he's Ukrainian or Russian, and that may play into the USSR angle or the Soviet angle. Now, when it comes to the iconography he was using around Nazi Germany, he was frequently using the image of the heraldic eagle that was sort of iconic of the Third Reich. He also used a logo employed by the Azov Battalion, a far-right Ukrainian militia that is also alleged to have ties to the neo-Nazi movement.
The Canadian publication Globe and Mail reports the suspects are linked to now inactive social media accounts that share themes including the communist icon, far-right politics, and Nazi symbols. The Globe published this photo from a source allegedly showing Schmegelsky with a gun.
And images of a swastika armband and a knife with the inscription Blood and R, which is German for blood and honor. It's a type of knife that was issued to the Hitler Youth during World War II. So it's a lot of images that certainly paint a picture of somebody with some far-right leaning. It's hard to disassociate them entirely. There's obviously some sort of connection there, but whether or not it's the actual motivation is still entirely unclear.
As Tanya mentioned, some of the photos of Schmegelsky came from people he gamed with online. So let's bring in Katie Nicholson. Katie, you spoke to some of those fellow gamers today in detail.
Yeah, Bryer, Schmegelsky, and McLeod had several online gaming accounts. There are a number of websites where you can play video games and communicate with other gamers. So one gamer we spoke with today told us Schmegelsky sent these pictures to him last year during one of almost a dozen conversations. He said Schmegelsky was constantly wanting to talk about what the Nazi regime did right and what it did wrong. And he said he talked about his airsoft rifle. That's a replica gun used in some shooting sports. And he remembers cautioning Schmegelsky not to kill anyone, but at the time, he didn't think it was a serious threat.
But once you go onto their profiles, who they're friends with, some of the posts they've made, the groups they're members of, it definitely suggests some affinity for the far right.
Janet Shamlian, CBS News, Surrey, British Columbia.
All the other kids with the bumped up kids, you better run, now run my gun. All the other kids with the bumped up kids, you better run, faster than my boy.
Those that knew Bryer in school have told the media of disturbing conversations they had with him. It comes as pictures emerge of the teen with Nazi flags and memorabilia.
There's times he would tell me and my friends, like, ways he wanted to kill us, and then himself, which is scary.
You know, the son was obsessed with video games, was influenced by YouTube, and I was speaking yesterday with somebody in Port Alberni whose son actually played with Bryer Schmegelsky when the two were in their pre-teens. They played video games together, and the mother was saying that he was almost fixated by violent video games.
Lisa Lucas's son was a close friend of Schmegelsky. They played together for years, but she says her son became uncomfortable over his fascination with violent video games.
She says her son became concerned with Schmegelsky's love for violent video games.
He would mention things about, like, if this was real, you know, like when they're playing video games, like, could you imagine if this was real, kind of a thing. So, and he'd get a little too excited about it, I guess.
Certainly, at least one of them was talking frequently about the Third Reich, about Adolf Hitler, and that's one of the reasons he cut ties with them earlier this year and basically refused to play online with them anymore, because he was kind of fed up and sort of confused by this teenager's affinity for Adolf Hitler.
And at some point, something changed, so much so that Bryer became uncomfortable and actually broke off the friendship. He said to his mother that he saw a Nazi symbol on Bryer's social media, a swastika she was referring to.
He's talking, saying stuff like he wanted to start like a militia or something like that, and do some gun shooting.
All I can say is my son did not have any real guns. My son did not have a vehicle. My son does not know how to drive. He was very introverted.
Schmegelsky's father said his son is seriously troubled. He believes his son bought his funeral suit and wants to hurt others on his way out.
And he was very heavy into video games. When he came and worked for me for the summer, I didn't pay him. I just had a very expensive custom-made computer for him, which he was quite content with. You know, he wasn't into the ones where, you have your machine gun and go shooting people. He was more into strategy, where you move your troops here and there. So his influences haven't been good. His influences have been YouTube and video games.
All of this, Lindsay, happening on the heels of a very emotional and jarring interview by Bryer Schmegelsky's father, in which he said that his son has been in pain ever since 2005 when the boy was 5 years old and the parents divorced. And he said he expects his son to die in a violent confrontation with police. That is how he said he expects his manhunt to end. And he said that his son will go down in a blaze of glory to end his pain. He also said that with his second paycheck, when he was working at the local Walmart, he bought a black suit. And the father says that he expects that suit will now be his funeral suit. So just some chilling details in this interview with the father, who actually broke down at the end of that interview and said, "I'm sorry, Bryer, this is happening to you, and that I can't rescue you."
He's going to be dead today or tomorrow.
I know that.
This, as one suspect's father warns, his son wants a suicide by cop and will try to go out in a blaze of glory.
All the other kids with the